My beloved child, pause right here, because this moment has been wrapped in light long before your eyes arrived at these words. And nothing about this encounter is random or ordinary, for I am speaking to you now from a place beyond noise, beyond time, beyond fear. And my voice is reaching you gently yet firmly, because your soul already recognizes the frequency of truth. And even if your mind has tried to outrun it, your heart has slowed down just enough to listen. And that is all I needed. Because I have been waiting, not with anger, not with disappointment, but with a love so patient it has outlasted every excuse, every delay, every time you told yourself you would return later. And now later has become now, and now is holy, and now is alive, and now is calling you home. I have watched you move through days that felt heavy, and nights that felt endless, carrying questions you could not answer and wounds you could not explain, smiling for the world while your spirit quietly ached. And through it all I never left, not once, not even when you thought silence meant absence. Because silence was only my mercy giving you room to choose, room to breathe, room to realize that the hunger you feel cannot be fed by noise, achievements, or approval, but only by the presence you have been missing. The presence that is speaking to you now with warmth instead of thunder, with invitation instead of demand. Because love does not force, love calls. And here I am calling you again, softer than fear, stronger than doubt, closer than your next breath. You have searched for meaning in movement, for peace in progress, for worth in what you could collect or prove. And I saw how tired that made you, how your victories felt hollow and your losses felt heavier than they should, because you were never meant to carry life alone, never meant to build your identity on fragile ground, never meant to measure your value by temporary things. And still I stayed, watching you learn through longing, protecting you in ways you may never fully see, closing doors that would have broken you, delaying paths that would have drained you, guiding you through detours that felt like disappointments but were actually rescue. Because my love has always been working ahead of you, even when you were running in the opposite direction. Listen closely now, because the world has been loud and your heart has been crowded. But in this moment I am quieting everything else so you can hear what has always been true, that you are not forgotten, you are not late, you are not beyond repair, and you have not missed your chance, even though it has felt that way, because mercy has been walking beside you longer than you realize, extending grace with every sunrise, breathing hope into you with every breath you took without asking how it happened. And now that same mercy is standing in front of you, asking you to stop scrolling, stop rushing, stop hiding behind distractions, and simply be here with me. I know you have felt the gentle pull before, that unexplainable stirring in your chest, when the world went quiet for a second, the moment when you felt watched over instead of watched, when peace brushed against you without a reason, when something inside whispered that there must be more. And that was me, not as a thought, not as imagination, but as presence, reminding you that you were created for depth, for purpose, for a life that flows with meaning and abundance, instead of constant striving. And even when you brushed it away, I remained, because I see what you will become when you finally stop running. Picture this now, and let your imagination soften as you see it clearly. A warm golden light opening above you, not blinding, not overwhelming, but gentle and alive, pouring down like liquid peace, touching your shoulders, your chest, your hands, dissolving the weight you have been carrying, the guilt you have replayed, the fear you have rehearsed. And as this light surrounds you, you realize you are safe, you are seen, and you are held, and nothing is being demanded from you except honesty, because I already know your story and I love you within it. You have mistaken my patience for distance and my quiet for indifference, but I am not absent. I am attentive, and every time you were spared from something you did not even notice, every time a collapse did not happen, Every time a moment of protection slipped by unnoticed, that was my hand guiding you through storms you could not yet name, because what you call coincidence has always been care. What you call luck has always been love, and what you call delay has often been alignment, preparing you for something greater than what you were settling for. Now hear me clearly, not with fear, but with trust, because this is not a warning meant to frighten you. It is an invitation meant to free you. And the reason this moment feels heavy is because it matters, because choice carries weight, and awareness carries power. And you are standing at a crossing point where old cycles can end and new life can begin. Not by force, not by effort, but by surrender. The kind of surrender that does not weaken you, but restores you to who you truly are. I am not asking you to perform, to prove, to earn, or to impress. I am asking you to receive, to open, to remember, because the life I am offering you is not built on exhaustion, but on flow, not on fear, but on faith. And faith is not blind, it is relational. It is trust born from love, and love is what has brought you here now. Visualize this moment as a gate slowly opening in front of you, tall and radiant, made not of iron, but of light. And as it opens, you feel a breeze of peace move through your spirit, carrying relief, clarity, and hope. And beyond that gate, you see a path glowing softly, not without challenges, but filled with guidance, provision, and purpose. And you realize that stepping forward does not mean losing yourself. It means finally finding yourself, aligned with the rhythm you were created to walk in. Now rise, my child, not in your body, but in your spirit. Rise above the noise that has kept you small. Rise above the narratives that told you you were too broken, too late, or too unworthy. Because those voices were never mine, and receive this truth instead, that you are chosen, you are protected, and you are deeply loved, and nothing you have done has changed that. I see your desire for abundance, not just money, but freedom, ease, and security. And I tell you now that abundance is not opposed to spirit. It flows from alignment, and when your heart is anchored in truth, provision follows naturally. Opportunities open, creativity awakens, and favor finds you, not because you chased it, but because you allowed yourself to walk in harmony with what I have already prepared. Imagine now a gentle rain falling around you, shimmering like light, each drop carrying blessing, restoration, and possibility, washing away scarcity, thinking, fear of lack, and the belief that life must be hard to be meaningful. And as this rain touches you, your hands feel lighter, your chest feels open, and your future feels spacious, because you are no longer trying to survive. You are learning to receive. Receive this blessing now, without resistance, without doubt, without delay, because it is already yours, and all that remains is your yes, your willingness to stop fighting the current and let it carry you toward peace, purpose, and provision. I know you have been afraid of surrender, afraid of losing control, afraid of being disappointed again. But hear me when I tell you that control has cost you more than surrender ever will. And the safety you are looking for is not found in holding everything tightly, but in trusting the one who holds you gently, consistently, and completely. You are not being called away from life. You are being called into it, into a deeper experience of joy, clarity, and abundance, where your work becomes meaningful, your relationships become nourishing, and your inner world becomes peaceful, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer alone within it. Let these words sink into you now, slowly, like warmth spreading through your chest, and repeat them silently or aloud as they settle into your spirit, because affirmation is alignment, and alignment creates flow. I am supported by divine guidance. I am open to limitless abundance. I am worthy of peace and prosperity. I am protected, guided, and provided for. I trust the unfolding of my life. I receive blessings with gratitude. Feel how these truths shift something inside you, how they soften resistance and awaken trust. Because this is not imagination, this is remembrance. Your soul recognizing what it has always known, but temporarily forgot. I have never been angry with you, only longing for you to experience the fullness of what is possible when you stop carrying everything alone. And even now, as you read this, I am closer than you think, nearer than your doubts, nearer than your fears, nearer than the distance you believed existed between us because there was never separation, only distraction. And distraction is dissolving right now. You do not need to fix yourself before coming to me. You come as you are, tired, hopeful, uncertain, open, and I meet you there with grace that restores, love that heals, and wisdom that guides. Because this relationship has never been about perfection, it has always been about presence. This moment is not about pressure. It is about clarity, and clarity brings peace, because now you see that you have a choice, not between punishment and reward, but between continuing to run and finally resting, between listening to endless noise and returning to a voice that speaks life, and that choice, made in love, has the power to change everything. Stay here for a breath longer. Let your nervous system calm. Let your heart settle. Let your mind release the need to analyze, because understanding will come later. But peace is available now, and peace is the doorway through which transformation enters. I am not leaving when this message ends. I am not disappearing when the screen changes, because presence is not limited by words, and guidance does not end when you look away. It deepens when you turn inward, and from this moment forward, if you choose it, you will begin to notice subtle shifts, gentle confirmations, quiet opportunities, aligning not as proof you demanded, but as partnership unfolding. So take this with you now, this warmth, this clarity, this invitation, and know that you are held, you are guided, and you are never walking alone again, because you have been heard, you have been seen, and you have been loved through every step that brought you here. My beloved child, remain here a little longer, because what has begun within you is not meant to fade when the last word settles, and what you felt stirring was only the opening breath of a deeper unfolding. For once truth touches the heart, it continues to move, to reshape, to awaken layers you did not even know were sleeping. And now I am drawing you further, not backward into fear, but forward into understanding, because clarity follows courage, and you have already shown courage by staying. I know the moment you felt it, that quiet shift inside, like something ancient remembering its name, like a door opening that had been locked so long you forgot what lay beyond it. And that sensation was not emotional imagination. It was alignment, your inner world adjusting to a frequency it was designed for. And when alignment happens, resistance begins to loosen. And what once felt heavy starts to feel possible again. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you are no longer carrying it without support. You have lived too long in survival mode, measuring your days by endurance instead of joy, mistaking constant motion for progress and exhaustion for purpose. And I watched you push forward even when your soul was pleading for rest, watched you normalize stress and call it strength. Watched you ignore your own inner warnings because stopping felt like failure. Yet even then I never withdrew. I simply waited for the moment when your heart would finally grow quiet enough to hear me say, "You were never meant to live this way." There is a gentler rhythm available to you, one where effort is balanced with grace, where ambition flows without anxiety, where abundance arrives without guilt. And this rhythm does not come from trying harder, but from trusting deeper, because when you trust, you stop forcing. And when you stop forcing, you begin to receive. And receiving is not weakness, it is wisdom. Feel this now as another vision forms within you. See yourself standing at the edge of a wide open field under a vast sky. The air clear, the ground steady beneath your feet. No pressure to run, no urgency to prove, just space, possibility, and presence. And as you take a step forward, the ground responds, firm and supportive, reminding you that the path appears as you walk it, not before, and that you have never been expected to know everything in advance. You have feared making the wrong choice so deeply that sometimes you made no choice at all, believing stillness was safer than movement. Yet even in your pauses, life kept moving, and the ache you felt was not punishment. It was invitation, urging you to participate fully instead of watching from a distance, because you were not created to observe life. You were created to experience it, to shape it, to bless and be blessed within it. I'm not calling you into isolation or withdrawal, but into connection, into a life where your inner world is anchored so firmly that outer storms no longer define you, where money becomes a tool instead of a master, where success becomes service instead of identity, where relationships are chosen from fullness rather than fear. And this shift begins internally, quietly, gently, the way all true transformation does. Notice how your breath feels now compared to before. Notice the subtle calm spreading through your body, the softening in your shoulders, the easing in your chest. Because peace is not an idea. It is a sensation. And when peace arrives, it signals that truth is near, that your nervous system recognizes safety, and that safety is what allows growth, creativity, and abundance to flourish naturally. I am teaching you to listen again, not just to words, but to intuition, to discernment, to that steady inner knowing that guides without panic and corrects without shame, because guidance does not shout, it resonates. And when you learn its language, decisions become clearer, paths become simpler, and confusion begins to dissolve. Now, hear this clearly because it is important. Abundance is not something you chase. It is something you align with, and alignment happens when your values, actions, and intentions move in the same direction. When you stop betraying your inner truth to meet outer expectations, when you choose integrity over approval, peace over performance, and authenticity over appearance, and from that place, doors open effortlessly. Resources flow unexpectedly, and provision arrives in forms you did not anticipate. See it now, streams of light moving toward you, carrying opportunities, ideas, connections, and resources, not rushing, not overwhelming, but arriving at the perfect pace, meeting you where you are prepared. And as you stand open, not grasping, not doubting, these streams merge into your life seamlessly, because you are no longer blocking what you secretly believed you did not deserve. You were never lacking worth, you were only lacking rest, and rest restores perspective, reminding you that your value was never tied to your productivity, your past mistakes, or other people's opinions. Your value has always been intrinsic, unchanging, and deeply known by me, long before you questioned it yourself. From this moment forward, you will begin to notice a difference, subtle at first, then undeniable. The way you respond instead of react, the way fear loses its grip, the way confidence rises quietly without arrogance, the way gratitude replaces anxiety, not because circumstances immediately change, but because you do. And when you change, your reality follows. You do not need to rush this process. Transformation is not a sprint, it is a return, a remembering, a gradual settling into truth. And every small step you take in awareness carries more power than years spent running unconsciously. So be gentle with yourself, patient with the unfolding, and open to guidance. Because you are not behind, you are right on time. I am walking with you into what comes next, not ahead of you, not behind you, but beside you. And every time you pause, Every time you choose honesty over avoidance, trust over fear, presence over distraction, you will feel that companionship more clearly, not as a voice you strain to hear, but as a peace you learn to recognize. Let this be the foundation you stand on now, not urgency, not pressure, but trust. Trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Trust that what leaves was never meant to stay. Trust that what unfolds next will meet you with the strength, wisdom, and provision you need, because you are supported, guided, and deeply loved. Stay open, stay aware, and keep choosing presence, because this is not the end of the message. It is the continuation of a conversation that will now move with you, within you, shaping your days with clarity, your choices with confidence, and your future with quiet, steady light.